What is up, Dyersburg? It is Chris Rains here on the Distorted Drive on 100 and Jack FM. I have something very interesting this show, okay? Here's the thing. I have my very first hip-hop artist, rap artist. First one. Never interviewed a hip-hop artist. So we have Yosaya today. I want to go ahead and thank my sponsors, because without you, my lovely sponsors, this show wouldn't happen. So Pops Music, Remax of Jackson, Heavenly Touch Massage, Dixie Liquor, Gus's Fried Chicken, Vape and Smoke, Garner's Landscape and Design, Hometown Vape Lounge, and Sign Express. If you go to any of the vape lounges, please bring a valid ID, because I'm not going to get in trouble for your stupid self, and they're going to yell at me. So, without further ado, what's up, Yosaya?
What's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Awesome. Thank you for coming to see me. You are from where specifically?
Well, I reside in Jackson, Tennessee,
okay.
But I'm originally from the Bay Area of California.
Gotcha.
Vallejo, San Francisco, Vacaville, Sacramento, that area.
Gotcha. So how long did you live there?
Like maybe 4 years or so.
Childhood, kind of.
Yeah.
As a toddler.
But I bounced back a lot, like, you know, because going out there for the summer and stuff, you know. And then I transplanted kind of between West Tennessee and the Puget Sound area, Seattle. So I've kind of bounced all around between here and the West Coast.
Right.
And I moved back to the West Coast, you know, for a little bit briefly. So yeah, it's just jumping back and forth, man.
Always. And then, so just just because it's funny, when Yosaya walked in, I looked at him, I was like, man, you look familiar. We apparently go back kind of far. Sort of far. We don't really know each other that well.
Right.
We will after this interview. But yeah, I used to do some sound stuff for a band around this area a couple years back. Man, how long was that ago?
I want to say like 2010 maybe.
Something. It's been almost 10 years, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that.
It doesn't, because I remember playing with the band too, playing shows.
Yeah, I actually,
like it was yesterday.
Yeah, the first time I saw you was at the VFW in Jackson. And they were playing, and I can't remember the other bands. I just remember you guys had this track, and I can remember the name of the track, but I can't remember the name of the band. It was DJ Skittles on My Iddles.
Oh, DJ Diddles on Your Skittles.
Okay.
Yeah, Death is the Road to Awe.
Ah.
Yeah. Man, that was my first hardcore band, too.
Yeah, I saw you guys there, and then
back when I was still an idiot and young.
I think like not long after that, there was a show at the New Daisy. Before they remodeled it, you know, when the stage was all sticky and nasty.
I hated playing the New Daisy back then. Like I would love to play it now. I haven't yet, but ever since they remodeled it, I'm like, oh, I want to play it so bad.
Oh, it's beautiful now, but
yeah,
back then it was real. It was raw.
It was he had like floorboards that were like kind of caved in, and you would like stub your toe on them. You know, it was like
tar. Like it's kind of like roofing tar, man, on the stage. So when you would walk across it, you could hear it.
Yeah,
you know,
like
yeah.
No matter what, and it doesn't help when you would see bands before you. Like I always dreaded watching some bands play before me, because they would like spit just a huge loogie on the stage. I'm just like, please stop. Why? Like, at least bring a towel, spit in it, or clean it up, because I had to step in it. You know what I mean? Like, stop it. Respect the venue. To all musicians listening, respect the venue, please.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They'll get sick of it. And guess who won't be allowed to play there? You.
Oh, that makes me think, man. Like, yeah, people, it seems like a lot of times, especially in smaller towns, like, in Paris, you know, they had Fahrenheit 101.
Yeah.
And they started bringing some cool stuff in, and there was Project Pat and then Jelly Roll, and then somebody gets shot in the parking lot, and it's just like, it's gone for everybody, man.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more extreme than a loogie.
But still, it takes one person to to ruin it
to
for
destroy
everybody.
it for everybody, man. So it's like, you got to come together, man, and unify to keep your scene, strong.
Otherwise, it's just gonna fizzle out.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about the the golden years. So what we'll do is, if you will, just explain a little bit about you, what you do, how you got in. I like to ask the question of what made you want to start doing hip hop, rap, and all that stuff.
Well,
especially knowing your metal background now. Like.
Yeah, because I've been playing like 15 years, man, and I started, metalcore and new metal. Huge fan of Korn.
Yeah.
Like from the time I was 10, and I wanted to. I started playing bass, man. My first instrument. I was like, I want to be like Phil D.
Yeah.
Follow him, and
put your bass down to your knees.
Yeah, and then it led to guitar, and then I goofed off on my buddy's drum set when he'd leave it at my place, and then I got into vocals, and then finally got the nerve to go live and started doing. When I was about 18, and. It just kind of went from there, and playing metal for a while, and a couple years back, I started as a hip hop artist. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing.
Yeah,
I was still playing it in my band, and none of the guys knew about it. And I'm just sitting here like, I mean, my wife has got to be the number one person on the planet that could probably recite my lyrics.
Right.
She's sick of them, but she knows them, and. But she's been a real support, over the years for it. So, but yeah, I got into it, man. I was at a show, and I was watching an artist, KB, Kevin Burgess, and it just blew me away, man. Because like metal, when everything is really dialed in and the mix is great, and they got a nice sound system and their subs. I mean, the kick and everything, it's just it's awesome. But that was the first time I experienced hip hop where it didn't seem corny to me. And I don't want to disrespect anybody that's in the art, by saying that, but it's just like there are a lot of people out there that I feel like don't contribute, to that genre the way they should. And yeah, man, it really floored me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And secretly started kind of building it. And then I, put a mixtape out and just went forward, man, from there.
So do you record at home or?
Yeah, I got a home studio. I've been engineering for a long time.
Awesome. Cool deal. I just kind of started getting mine together at my apartment. So I got a bunch of VST plugins and all that stuff, and
awesome.
a small enough mixer. I don't need a mixer like we have here at the studio. I've got like a small one, because I don't record drums. Like I don't track drums, so I don't need an 18 channel board, but and I can't have drums there anyway unless it's electric, but then it's all direct in anyway. So so you record at home. Do you mix and master your own stuff, or do you gotcha, so you do
I mix
all
and
of
master. That. I I don't work on just myself. I do other artists as well.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I literally engineer. But yeah, man, I put in the time and mix and master. And it's funny that you're talking about VSTs because I was so against that stuff in the beginning. And I was like, that's cheating. It's emulators. It doesn't sound as good. And I was like, analog, man. And it's okay, the bus in, like A to D, you have to do that conversion. But after a while, man, my buddy, he hooked me up with a interface. And I was like, this is like just a glorified line in with preamps. And it really it increased my workflow like big time.
Yeah.
And and I was like, am I getting lazy or is this just really helping me out? And then, when you're a rapper, you don't need as much.
Right.
And the VSTs really help because it's like, racks are expensive, man.
Yeah.
So when you can get really nice, VSTs that come close.
With really good tone.
Yeah, it helps, man, because it adds a lot of color to the sound. So it doesn't sound, so cookie cutter and polished.
Yeah,
so.
The one thing that I've heard in music a lot lately that, and I'll ask you this question too here in just a second, or I'll go ahead and ask the question. I'll tell you what I'm going to say. Something that I want out of the music industry completely, at least with rock music. I can't speak on hip hop really besides just listening to it, but you're kind of in that world.
Yeah.
I'm not, so I don't know what yours would be, but when it comes to rock music, like I hear a lot of bands that like their guitar sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
There's no buzz. You know what I mean? Like amps, real amps have a little bit of a buzz, and when you hit those notes and you stop a note, you can usually tell when someone stops a note, but
Yes.
but when they go in and like cut the end off of it, it's like, did it? You know, it's like, I hate that. I hate it so much.
It takes the humanity out of it, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can add color to it, and it doesn't have to be so perfect because it leaves room for the imagination, and it becomes a piece of art instead of, you know, something that seems so digital and lifeless. And nothing against people that produce that well, you know. Sometimes I like listening to that stuff, but I find myself, you know, becoming bored at times. It's like, oh, this is a great album, but it's so polished, you know, especially if the band is really heavy. Yeah. It's like it can kind of take away. So
from the rawness of it.
Yeah. So it's not so in your face, but it's still great. But yeah, things have definitely changed, you know, in the industry.
So here's the question that I was asking. What would you like to see leave the industry?
Oh, the number one thing I want to see leave the industry is pay to play. I hate that.
God.
If anybody actually knew, like, and studied where that came from, then you would just be an immoral person to continue in it. It's corrupt. And I can't tell you how many times people hit me up. It's like, oh, you have an opportunity to open up for a major artist.
Yeah, exactly. They'll message you. You know, and that's happened to me too. Case in point, I won't say who, but there was a venue in Clarksville that contacted my band, said, hey, do you guys want to open up for insert band here? Yes, we do. That would be awesome. Cool. $350. It's like, why did you message us? Because we're not going to do that. You know, like
when I looked into that, a lot of that came from years back. A lot of the rich kids, you know, they wanted to open for the big bands, and that was their ticket. And their parents had the money to pay for those slots. Yeah. So it became part of the industry, and it's not fair for everybody that works so hard. Right. You know, there are a lot of great musicians out there that don't get heard. Yeah. You know, let aside from all the noise you have to cut through and the mainstream stuff, you know, where a lot of the underground artists are so skilled. Yeah. And you know, it's just one of those things that I would love to see just disappear. Right. For sure. Yeah, that's been one of my biggest things too. Like playing in bands and stuff is like when venues contact you. It'd be different if like if you contact a venue, if I contact a venue, I kind of expect to hear that. But when one's message me and then they tell me that they want me to, it's like, hey, do you want to play for this band? Yeah, sure. Cool. Just send $350 and you'll get like a co-headlining spot. I'm like, no. What's so bad about that is that I realized after a while is that a lot of bands will pay for these slots, and then if you can't sell the tickets, you end up just paying for it. And you know, a lot of times you don't even get guest list. Yeah. You know, and what's really happening is you have the headliner, and it seems like they're becoming the vampire. See, that's what I call the industry, is the vampire, because it just sucks the blood out of people, man. Like, metaphorically. And, you know, maybe it can seem like the headliner's taking the money, but then that's not even all of it. You know, if they're signed, you know, the way the label is giving them maybe 15% and taking the other 85 away from them. So it's kind of a trap, you know. So it makes it hard because, you know, music it's a career just like anything else, you know. Would you not pay the mechanic that fixed your car? You know, right? You would. Why would you not pay a musician? It took you all those years, you know, to learn how to play your instrument or refine your craft. And somebody just acts like, you can do it for free or you can pay me. It's just not right. No, it's not. Cool deal. Well, when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about the hip hop world, and we'll talk about what got you started and all that right here on the Story Drive. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Story Drive. We're back here with Yosaya. Before we hit our break, I was gonna ask you, and then we ran out of time. What got you started in, like, what made you want to really do hip hop? We talked about Korn and all that, and then it kind of transitioned to something else. But like, was it Korn that got you into like that mix, or was it like an actual hip hop artist that got you into hip hop, or was it? I mean, from my childhood, you know, I remember like Tupac. Yeah. And, you know, more so because of his philosophical views. I've always loved what he had to say. And, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony, but nu metal, I guess it was kind of a gateway or an open door to get into hip hop, because and I know there are a lot of people that are going to maybe potentially frown on this, but I'm sorry. I love Limp Bizkit.
Oh, I do too.
I love Korn. And, you know, yeah, I guess it kind of got me into it initially, but I got to say it was just seeing what, you know, the guys on Reach were about and seeing it, you know, right in front of me. And that really kind of sparked an interest, you know, because playing in bands, man, like, not everybody's really built for it. You know, a lot of people want to get into it, and then they find out what it really takes, and then they get scared, and then they bounce. So hip-hop is like, this, referring to Limp Bizkit, and I've kind of lived by this at times. Fred Durst, in one of their tracks, said, if you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself. And I kind of thought about that, and I was like, I don't have to worry about somebody not showing up or having to replace my bass player or my guitarist or my drummer or whatever, you know, whatever it may be. I can just do what I got to do.
Yep. And that's, see, I was in a band up until recently. I'm not anymore just because of creative differences. They wouldn't listen to me, et cetera, et cetera. So I left out of respect. They're all still together, and I wish them the best of luck. And I told them, I was like, hey, if you guys make it, good. You know, good on you. But there was a lot of things, because I was the youngest, so you can imagine how that went. I was the youngest in the band. So, but the whole thing is like, I record at home now. I record what I want to, when I want to. I don't have to worry about getting 4 other people together for a practice. You know, like, I sit down, I write something, take a break, go eat, come back. You know what I mean? And keep recording. So I get that. I get that whole, like, really, like you said, if you want something done, you know, you got to do it yourself. And it's very, very true. But, you know, and then some people do really well in bands. So, like, anybody listening, if you want to form a band, try it. See if you can do it. I mean, you literally won't know until you try. And one of my favorite quotes is, you miss 100% of the chances that you don't take.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's true. It's like, do you want to form a band? Do it.
Right.
Just do it.
What do you got to lose?
Yeah. Worst that can happen is it doesn't work. Then you just either start over or find different members. It's going to take a while before you find those members that you can mesh with and talk with and become brothers, or if you have a woman in the band, brothers and sisters, you know, like family.
That I will say is the big difference between hip hop and metal, rock, you know, whatever it may be, that you have physical instruments in front of you, which not in hip hop you can have that as well live.
I think that MGK does that, doesn't he? Doesn't he have like a full band?
I know that he plays guitar sometimes. So yeah, usually most of your hip hop artists nowadays have a drummer and a DJ. And sometimes a guitarist. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I know for a fact he plays guitar in some of his music. So I would think maybe he does it live, but I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But
gotcha.
Yeah.
The it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how, like, back then you had Korn, Limp Bizkit, you had Edema, you had all these new metal bands and all that stuff that incorporated that whole rock sound. Sometimes even Disturbed, you know, like, not as much, but the way that he does it is very hip hop like, but it's not at the same time. You know what I mean? But like, it's crazy how that's starting to come back again.
Yeah.
With progressive, like, gent type music with hip hop lyrics.
I remember. I don't remember. I was watching something or reading an article where Jacoby of Papa Roach was like, it happens in cycles. It's gonna come back, and everybody thought he was nuts for that. They're like, do you know what year it is? And sure enough, I'm seeing it come back. Bands like Cane Hill and
oh yes, I love me some Cane Hill, man.
Something Grove, man. I can't even remember the name of the band. Ocean Grove.
Ocean Grove.
Right. And I'm seeing these bands like really incorporate that sound, and it's coming back. Because there was a time where a lot of bands wanted to copy Korn, and it's coming back. But I love it because for so long, especially in metalcore, things became stale. Like, I literally walked out of a show because it was constant bass drops, and everything sounded the same.
Oh yeah. All breakdown all the time. I mean, I've been there. I've done that. But then that's one of the reasons why I left Death is Road to All, is because they wanted to continue to do that instead of progress and grow. And I got tired of playing breakdowns all
and
the
that,
time.
That is a difference, between playing metal and hip hop. Hip hop, you can be more versatile and bring more genres into it.
Right.
You can move out to pop, and you can bring a little bit of rock and metal into it. So you can do those things. But the difference is, like you said, the camaraderie that you have, like with your brothers, you get close. You don't necessarily have that in hip hop as much. It's kind of like being a boxer. It's really lonely.
Yeah.
So sometimes you kind of sit there like, am I doing the right thing? Like there's no one to back you up a lot of times.
Right.
So you reach out to other artists that, are in hip hop, and you're like, getting validation, and it helps.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helps a lot. So who let's put you on the spot here a little bit. Top 3 hip hop artists.
Top 3?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be in a specific order, but just top 3.
I gotta say Tupac, irregardless, for number 1. Just because he's Tupac, he elevated the game and changed so much, and even nowadays, man, people are rapping about stupid stuff. It's like it's gone completely the opposite direction. He wanted to shine a light on what was going on, and here's the problem. Let's find a solution. Now people are glorifying
the problem.
Let's drink codeine, and promethazine.
Yeah,
and it's like, really, like 20 years ago, you would have been called a crackhead.
Take nothing but Xanax all the time.
Yeah. Other than him, though, I got to say KB, because he got me into, what I do. And, oh, man, it's really hard.
Those top 3 spots are always hard.
I'm going to say Andy Mineo for 3.
Okay. So. Who is now? See, I don't know who that is. You'll have to text me that later, that name, so I can look it up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot about hip hop. I know enough, but not a lot. And so there's a lot of artists that I've been getting into recently that have been around for a long time. I'm just like, okay. So like... they're
hidden away in the dark web.
Yeah, so like NF, I like him a lot. He's been around for a few years, apparently. Didn't know that. I only stumbled across Childish Gambino like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And then the main ones, the main ones that actually rap about something versus the ones that rap about Gucci Gang.
The way I've heard that's explained is like Gucci Gang is like, it's the fast food of hip hop. It's fun. It's club music.
It's easy to listen to.
And maybe that's cool if you don't really want to dissect what's really there. But to me, the more I've gotten into hip hop, lyrically, what you have to say is like what you leave behind. And if you're talking about stupid stuff, that's all anybody's going to remember.
Yeah.
But if you have something to say, then there you go. Contribute your verse,
Exactly.
So
there's a lot of, like, because I know that if I was an artist, I don't want to be remembered for writing stupid songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be remembered as writing really crappy music. I want people to be like, have you ever listened to, whoever? That's what I want people to say. And so that's why as a musician and a writer, and you can understand this with both of those things, and a producer, is it takes a long time to get a song right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It does. And a lot of people think that people go in, knock out a track in a day, and they're done. Well, you can if you're doing it wrong.
I've had that happen. Like, it just happens on the spot, but it's not all the time. Like, a lot of times, you come back.
Sometimes you have a really good day.
Yeah. But those don't always happen, man. Those, I mean, at least for me, it's happened a couple times, man. More so track and guitar.
Yeah.
You can go in there and it's like, if you're really feeling it.
Oh yeah. But lyrically is what I mean though too. Is like,
because
go in, you have to. It's funny. It's really funny because this happens here when we write commercials. We'll write out the commercial, and we'll say it in our head. We're like, yeah, and then we get in here into the studio and we say it, and we're like, that sounds awful. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same exact way with the writing lyrics and stuff. You have this thing, you've had it written for weeks. You go in there, you record it, you listen back. You're like, this is awful. Let me redo this. you know, and it's a process. I mean, it takes.
Yeah. Now that you say that, like, I go back sometimes and open project files, and I'm like, what is this? Because you might have like 5,000 different names for the same track, but there's so many project files, and you're like, I did this version to that song, and then when you finally finish it, you're looking back at the old stuff. You're like, maybe I should have kept this, or maybe
Yep.
maybe I did the right thing, you know. But yeah, that definitely happens.
Definitely. So cool deal. So we will be right back on the Distorted Drive. We'll get into some music when we get back, and what we'll do is we'll play those songs. We'll talk about them. We're going to play as many as we can because I can. So we'll be right back on the Distorted Drive. All right, welcome back to the Distorted Drive. We're going to finally get into some music. I know you guys are, I'm sure you're saying, Chris, please shut up and just play music. And I'm just saying, I want you to get to know the artist first. Come on now. I mean, yeah, their music will speak for itself. But at the same time, I still want you to learn about them because you never know what their background is. Like, case in point, your main background is metal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, when you think about that, it's like main background is metal, mainly does hip-hop.
Yeah.
It's like that's why I want people to know what got you into doing hip hop.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. So what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and play some music. What is the name of the first track that we're gonna be playing?
Don't You Dare.
Don't You Dare. This is Don't You Dare by Yosaya here on 100 Jack FM, the Distorted Drive.
Could I direct your attention to the blaring sounds of what's about to come down?
Like raining thunder.
Oh, it's elementary, my dear Watson. All the things that we do to educate, elevate, and just educate. Or better yet, what we do to try to eradicate anything that seems like comprehension. Don't you dare
Try to question the establishment that put you there.
contradicted, my dear Watson. Can't you figure out? Okay, I think I get it. Now don't you dare try to comprehend who put you there. Now don't you dare try to tell me anything else. Heresy is a punishable by death, and capital offenses, well, they'll be dealt with.
I'm beginning to think people just don't trust me. They just don't trust me. They just don't. I'm beginning to think people don't.
Well, don't trust me.
Don't trust me.
Who am I when I want to elevate and just tell everybody that they need to shake down everything that seems like it's contradicted to the truth? But who would be the one to put it all up on your heart? You change for stone in exchange for the flesh, written like the parchment, getting from the best. What about it? Guns blazing, rotting, raising, looking like a dead man, raising from the bottom all the way to the top.
Times chop, yeah. 3 times chop, yeah.
All right, and that was Don't You Dare by Yosaya right here on the Distorted Drive. Can you, if you don't mind, can you explain to me what that song is about? I know it was a very short song.
Yeah. So the main point of the song is to try to. I like to try to provoke and like stimulate them like intellectually
And make them think.
Right. So when you dissect it, it's kind of like, what is he saying lyrically? Like the composition is great, but like, what are you saying? So what I'm getting at is that I think people should think for themselves. I think too often people, follow the crowd without even asking why. Like there's studies about it. Like I've seen where they did a study in a doctor's office.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, somebody sits down and people would come in and they just stand up and the sound goes off, a buzzer, and then all of a sudden everybody else does it, like mass hysteria. And like one person out of like 20 will say, "What? Like
Why is
are you
everyone
doing this?"
standing up?
Right. So it's kind of like I feel like there are establishments there in society that are put there that want to stunt the growth of free thought, and people don't think for themselves. I think it threatens people, that want to keep things kind of suppressed, you know.
Yeah.
So I really want people to think for themselves, like whatever it is you think or believe or what you're about, like think about it, you know, not just because Joe Blow down the street told you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like really, man, like internalize that. Think about it.
Think
like,
about why you're doing it. It's just like, are you doing it just because you've seen a bunch of other people do it, or are you doing it because it's something that you genuinely want to do?
right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's kind of like it's like when that whole thing of like if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? You know, it's that same like analogy of like, well, am I jumping to save myself? Am I jumping from a burning building? Like, what's going on? Like, that's what I question when people ask me that. Like, even as a kid, whenever my parents would be like, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? I'm like, well, that depends. What's going on? Like, am I jumping because I'm trying to save my life? Am I jumping because I'm bored? Like,
exactly. At least you're thinking about it. You're questioning it, but I feel like so many people don't.
Just
And they'll get
off
angry.
the cliff I go.
They'll get angry if you question it. It's
Yeah.
like, don't argue that. Just let it be. And it's like, this is really odd. Like, I think one of the best things that happened to me when I was a kid is I had a teacher that had me read 2 books. One was called The Hatchet, where this kid survives in the wilderness after a Cessna crashes because the pilot has a heart attack. And he's a teenager. And he's in the woods in Canada, in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Survives on his own, gets out of there. Believe it or not, somebody pays him to go back years later when he's older and write a book about it. Why? And The Giver, man, way before that movie came out. And I thought about it, and I was like, I know what my teacher was doing now. She was telling me to think for myself. Like, don't just believe it because other people say it. Don't just follow the trend. It's like, really question that. Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Because if there is a problem, then we find the solution.
Yep.
So
It's kind of like the whole, like, I actually dropped a friend of mine that I've had for years because he started doing the whole Xanax thing.
yeah.
I was like, that'll kill you.
Yeah.
Telling you right now. You know, it's like, why are you doing that? Well, just, I don't know, because I need it. I'm like, you don't need it. You've gone 23 years without needing it. So why do you need it now?
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of people that are actually pressing those now, like, and putting them on the street.
Yeah.
And it's laced with, like, what is it? Fentanyl?
Fentanyl, that's what killed Lil Peep.
Yeah.
Because he took 6 of them, for one. That's like because I read the toxicology report. He took 6 of them, but every single one of them was laced with fentanyl.
Wow.
But I found out that the girl that sold them to him is in custody because she sold them to him and killed him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether or not it was on purpose, I don't know. But exactly, like, people are making these things at home.
Yeah.
At home.
Oh yeah, there's designer drugs out there too, man.
It's scary. So don't do drugs, kids. You know, it's and if you have, I'll say this too, just because I don't want this to have anybody else. If you have friends out there that are starting to get into that, talk to them, tell their parents. I don't care if they get mad at you. I've had friends get mad at me, but guess what? They went to rehab, got clean, and now they're doing great and have families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's okay if your friends get mad at you because you're calling them out on addiction or anything like that.
Yeah,
You know?
that's awesome that you say that because I think a lot of people would
It's
feel
so glorified now.
Yeah, and a lot of people I think would feel embarrassed to come forward and say like, "Oh, I think I have an issue," you know, and maybe they do have a support system, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
But I think that if you can encourage somebody and become a support system for them, you could probably save somebody's life.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So cool. So that got sad. Anyway, so back to the what we were doing here. But yeah, seriously, it's out there, and I'm not gonna shelter anybody or anything like that when it comes to it. It's out there. There's probably people that that you may not know it, but they're probably on Xanax or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not good, and it's getting worse. It's becoming an epidemic because it's so popularized by music nowadays.
Right.
The popular, air quotes, popular music of like this rap that has no meaning to it.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what Tupac was trying to do.
It's the opposite. Yeah, it's the opposite of what Tupac and NWA and all of them were doing. They talked about issues like, hey, here's what we can do to fix this problem.
Yeah.
Now it's all rapping about problems.
It was a report from the street.
Yeah. There was
you
no
know,
solution to it.
As opposed to CNN, that was what they had to say.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So, what is the next track on your the ones we're gonna play here?
The next track is called Wisdom.
Wisdom. This is Wisdom by Yosaya, and we'll be right back on the Distorted Drive.
Get 'em. It's been whipping at my chest each and every moment. But I've been looking for God's blood in His Son's atonement. What we always do is wear Jesus' pieces instead of making peace inside of our heart or even searching inside. As true believers, that's been looking for something that's more than just worth in the fight. Riddle me this, riddle me that. I've been looking for something that might be falling between the cracks. Wherever, and searching for wisdom, like Solomon. Solomon. Solomon, 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 Solomon. You better think twice before you give your heart away. Choice leads to victory, the other to death and disdain. Cardiac events are best when outlandish becomes stone and flesh. From Alpha to the Omega, beginning to end. His Majesty stays cloaked in purple and rules for never no end. For never no end. A pill is easy to swallow. A pill is easy to swallow. So is a hard drink. But you better think twice before you give your heart away. But you better think twice before you give your heart away. Because one choice leads to victory, the other to death and disdain. But no one listens to the killer saw and see death in the street. I feel the heat of the blast and the sting of the scorpion's lash. I'm praying for those that envy death, better yet at best. You better think twice before you give your heart away. One choice leads to victory, the other one to death and disdain. No washing away, no washing away, no washing away. You better think twice before you give your heart away. One choice leads to victory, the other to death and disdain. Round 3, let's get 'em. Subdiversions are best when outlandish cardiac events occur and cause stone to become flesh. From Alpha straight to Omega, the beginning to the end. His Majesty stays cloaked in purple forever and ever. Never will there ever be end. Well, the pill is easy to swallow, and so is a hard drink. But better think twice before you give your heart away. Because one choice leads straight to victory, and the other one leads to death and disdain. No washing away, no washing away. But no one ever listens to the killer saws. See death living in the street, live it as I see. Yeah. I feel the heat of the blast, the sting of the scorpion's lash. Praying for those who ever envy death at its best. Well, subdiversions are best, and outlandish cardiac events occur. 1, 2, better yet, come on a 3, 3 through.
All right, and that was Wisdom by Yosaya. We'll be right back here on the Story Drive on 100 Jack FM, and we'll talk about that song. And then we're going to play 2 songs in succession as well. So when we get back, we'll play more music. All right, cool? Hang on there, all right? 100 Jack FM. All right, welcome back to the Story Drive. We are on the final segment of the evening, which means that after we get done with this music, we're going to have to say goodbye to my good friend Yosaya. I'm sorry. I know, it's sad, isn't it? I could do this all day if they would let me, but they don't let me. Well, they probably would, but at the same time, they'd only pay me for an 8-hour day. So that was Wisdom. If you don't mind, what is that track about as well?
Wisdom is my way to give a warning to people. Different paths in life can take you, different places. And, I don't think it's any surprise to know that doing the right thing is never the easy thing to do. And what I'm trying to get at the root and the core of that song is trying to inspire people to kind of look in the mirror and, you know, see if the reflection is really what you want. You know, is your character and what you personify what you really want to be? And when I talk about, you know, when cardiac events occur, stone becomes flesh. I'm talking about, you know, a person's heart can be moved from stone to flesh, and they're a brand new person. And it, you know, I think it's imperative to give a message like that, because I think a lot of people just don't really think about where they're going or what they're going to do. And, you know, you can really make a difference, you know, but you can't stand on the street corner and scream at people, we want change.
Yeah.
If you don't change yourself first, you got to be the change you want to see in the world, in yourself. You got to be that change first. So you can't fix everybody else, man. You can fix yourself, and that's where it starts.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's exactly where it starts. You can't expect to help others if you can't help yourself at the same time.
right.
And some people, there's always that line that people seem to cross where it's like self-help,
Right.
you know, making yourself better mentally, physically, any kind of way that you feel fit. But then you get the people that are like conceited.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like refuse to help anybody else. It's just like there's a difference between helping yourself and then like, I'm trying to think of the way to put it because I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't think of the word. It's like,
They are superficial.
yes, thank
Yeah.
you. It's like, and that's the big difference.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because superficial people don't want to help nobody.
Yeah.
They don't want to help anybody.
They don't
It's
care
like,
about nobody
no one's,
but
No one's
themselves.
helped me, so why should I help someone else? It's like, well, that's a bad attitude to have.
Yeah, it's narcissism, man, and
Yeah.
it can spread like a disease. It's like a virus. So that's why if you can take that change, man, it's not an easy route. But if you're willing to do it and you really feel, you know, inspired to do it, do it. You know, what do you got to lose? You know?
Exactly.
So-
It's exactly how I feel about it, too. So what we're going to do is play 2 tracks in succession now. So what are the names of those 2 tracks? And then, if you will, actually give a brief description about those 2, and we'll just let them roll.
Change and Ringleader. Change is something that I wrote when I watched an interview of a woman who was a prostitute, like literally on the street, and changed her life, became a Christian, and she had this like really deep story about how she made this change. And I stopped and I said, wow, like that makes sense. I'm like, so the change can happen, right? Where, and this may sound funny to some, but to me, I said, you know, God loves everybody. You know, the saint and the sinner, the pimp and the hoe. Because the pimp and the hoe, even though one is, it's got one like in a slave trade, right?
Yeah.
They're both in something bad.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it's like, this is a hard pill to swallow for some people. And I don't mean this like, oh, okay, I'm giving the pimp, you know, a break. But they're both in the wrong.
Right.
And it's kind of like, okay, but a heart change can occur and you can just move away from it. And what I believe is that change is available not only to the prostitute, but her pimp as well.
Yeah, right.
You know, he can be foul, but that's available. So that's what change is about.
Okay.
And Ringleader, I wrote Ringleader because a lot of current events, man, like there's been so many of these like mass shootings that you see on the news.
Almost
And
every week.
I had no idea that my aunt had been involved in one when she was growing up. She was in one of the first shootings in her school.
Wow.
In that part of the state, in California. And I had no idea. And I asked her, I said, why didn't you tell me about that? She goes, why would I? And I was like,
Well,
yeah, that's right. I get what you're saying. Why
That's-
would you
yeah.
tell me? And it kind of inspired me to write this. And I thought, as an artist, what can I do to make a difference? And it's like I have a mouthpiece, so I'm going to use it. And I wanted to tell people, like, this is happening. This is real. So I gave a perspective of 3 characters. One character is the individual who happens to show up And it's just, they had no idea that was going to happen that day at all. And they're just caught in the midst of it. They make it out.
Mm-hmm.
The second person is the shooter, the mentality they have, the way they feel, the rage, what drove them to commit a heinous act.
Right.
And then you have the third party or persons that doesn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have death and what follows after that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fear, there's their prayer. And you know, because I think a lot of people, you know, when you get in a situation where you're terrified, you know, whatever it is you believe or don't believe, you're going to cling to that pretty quick.
Whatever it is that you have.
Right.
You know?
And I just wanted to put that, you know, in the track, because POD did a song years ago, Youth of a Nation.
Oh,
and
I love that song.
I thought, man, that was an anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what can I do? I want to do something that really hits to the core. And I wrote that track. So I hope it makes some difference, man. I mean, even if it's just one person, that's a big difference.
That's one life that's changed. So
yeah.
Cool deal. So that is Change and then Ringleader that we're going to play in succession, correct?
Right.
All right, this is Change and Ringleader by Yosaya on the Distorted Drive 100 Jack F.
Let me tell you something about it, God loves everybody. The scene in the center, the pimp in the hoe. And his love knows no bounds, no matter how low. Let me tell you about something about the OG. O to the O to the OD. Don't wanna hang with the best. What you really wanna do is cut it straight to the chest. All I knew was selfish intention, with a heart full of lust and a pocket full of change. But if you could spare some change, man, I think that I promise a change. Okay, now when I really thought about it, go ahead, now you thought about it. Okay, now thought about it, just thought about it. All I do is I think all the time, think all the time. All I do is I think all the time, I think all the time. When you feel like a pimp, walking with a stride and a limp, not really feeling anything, 'cause it's in your mind since day one. Already been played since day one on one. Checking the way, 'cause you've been breaking bank, thinking about what's been keeping you up all night, all of the night, all of the night. Oh, so late, keeping you up all night, keeping you up, sweating the bullets, and you cannot run, no matter what it is that you have done. You cannot run, you cannot run, you cannot run from the wrath of the sun. I'm praying out to Jesus up above to get me out and show me all of his love. I really been trying to pray, I really been trying to stay straight, but why I'm about to die today? Gunshots all around, get down, lay low. Gunshots all around, get down, lay low. Hit the door, lay low, reach out, praise God, made it out. I made it out. I hear the gunshots all around, gun smoke, another down. The screaming and all of the blood spilling out on the ground. Hate breeds from hardness, it hurts a confusion. I feel the fear and confusion. I am the ringleader, feel my wrath. I hope you know. Now that's a wrap. Yeah, I am the ringleader. Stay low and let them all know that I alone am in control. I have the power. You cannot hurt me anymore. Now you cannot hurt me anymore. I'm praying to Jesus up above to get me out and show his love. I really been trying to stay up, prayed up, stay straight, but why am I about to die today? funny to me. This is not a joke. I inspire to provoke. This is not a joke, not a game. I'm laying down words while they lay down the game. To die is to gain, to die is to gain, to die is to gain. Anyway, to die is to gain, to die is to gain, to die is to gain. Don't throw away. To die is to gain, to die is to gain, to die is to gain. Oh, today, to die is to gain. Paradise awaits. Paradise awaits. Open gates, St. Peter, looking for St. Paul, reaching out to the love. Show me who Yeshua was. Yeah. Show me who it was. Is ever be.
All right, and that was Yosaya with Change and Ringleader. I'm gonna have to say, I think Ringleader is my favorite one that we've played so far, man.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. I think it's just because it's really, really deep, and it's still, which I don't know. I don't know when you wrote that song, but it's still relevant today. Like especially today, like
Right.
with all these shootings happening almost every week, it seems.
Yeah.
So it's very, very relatable. So, but yeah, so thank you for coming on the show as
no
well.
doubt.
I want to go ahead and say thank you. Where is a place that people can get your music and find you on, like the internet? Where can they find you at?
Well, I will be in most stores digitally.
Okay.
I don't have an exact release date, but it's coming soon, and I'll let everybody know. Until then, you can follow me on social media. Primarily, I'm on Facebook for social. It's Facebook / I am Yosaya.
How do you spell that, just for the people that need to know?
Yosaya is Yosaya.
There we go.
And you can find me as old school as this is, and underground.
MySpace?
No, Reverb Nation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there, so it's reverbnation.com / Yosaya. I'm on YouTube. I have a channel. You can find me in the search engine. Type in Yosaya, and I'll come up.
Yeah.
You can, find me most places like that. I'm also in a up and coming film that's called Thriller Nights.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm in that for the soundtrack, and there's a music video out for it. You can go find right now.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. It's called Joy Thief.
Cool.
So yeah, that's where you can find me at until I'm in the big dog stores.
Yeah.
Spotify and Amazon, but I will be there. So
So all these tracks that we played today, are they already out, or are they going to be coming out with the CD that you said that you're working on right now, or about to produce?
Okay, these tracks are on my new EP. So Don't You Dare, Wisdom, Change, and Ringleader are on my new EP that's coming out called Change.
Cool.
And Joy Thief is pretty much a single on its own. It started as a mixtape track, and it ended up being remastered and put into a movie. And I also got a track out with a buddy of mine, lyricist. It's called This Is NTE, so you can find that as well. So that's what it is.
Cool deal. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming all the way from Jackson to come and see me in the lovely studio, and we got to play some of your music. You get your music out there. I get to learn about you. The people listening get to learn about you. So again, like I said, thank you for coming on the show, and I really appreciate it. I really dug it. I really appreciate your, like I said, the beats that you produce when we were, during the breaks. You have very good beats, so very good job. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to The Distorted Drive. I have lost my sponsor list, so thank you all of our sponsors. I love you, and I would name you right now, but what I usually have them on is deciding to restart on me. So thank you for listening, and again, if you go to any of the vape shops I mentioned at the beginning of the show, please bring a valid ID, because, you just get thrown out. Case in point, if you don't bring a valid ID, they're not going to sell you nothing. So, thank you so much for listening to The Story Drive on 100 Jack FM. Thank you, Yosaya, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And we will see you guys next weekend. I'm out of here. Peace out, y'all.